Long before Rolex became the luxury version of a blue checkmark, Tudor was out there doing the work, building watches that didn't need velvet ropes or marketing stunts to prove they belonged. These days, under $10,000, Tudor's not just in the conversation, it's correcting people's pronunciation while sipping espresso. It's the brand that never shouted, but still managed to be the loudest in the room. Welcome back to Opulent Oasis. Today's ride starts with a 1960s Tudor Submariner, the kind of watch that looks like it's seen things and didn't feel the need to brag afterward. No glitter, no drama, just the quiet confidence of steel and salt water. Tudor didn't come from Rolex's shadow. It came from the same blueprint, just skipped the flash and got to work. And somehow, that workhorse DNA aged into cult status. Funny how the budget pick ended up being the one that ages like single malt. And now, modern Tudors still walk like they don't need to explain themselves, built solid, priced smart, and somehow cooler than half the watches trying twice as hard. The man behind two empires, Hans Wilsdorf, didn't stumble into greatness, he practically scheduled it. Back in 1905, he launched Rolex with the quiet confidence of someone who knew his watches would outlast the competition, the weather, and probably a few owners. Rolex didn't just join the party, it built the damn ballroom. With waterproof cases, self-winding movements, and a knack for surviving anything short of an asteroid, Rolex earned its rep the old-fashioned way by being relentlessly overbuilt. Basically, if James Bond and a Swiss banker had a baby, it'd wear a Rolex. Now, Wilsdorf wasn't the guy with a loop glued to his eye assembling gears in a candlelit attic. He was a strategist in a three-piece suit, thinking several wrist sizes ahead. He saw Rolex becoming a symbol of prestige, but also saw something most luxury brands miss entirely. Not everyone wants to mortgage their house for a solid watch. While the rest of the industry gate-kept, Wilsdorf quietly looked for a back door and held it open. By the 1920s, he had a plan. Keep the bones of Rolex, tough, precise, unflappable, but bring it to more wrists. Not everyone needed a gold-cased status symbol. Some just wanted a watch that could take a hit and keep ticking. Wilsdorf figured dependability shouldn't be a luxury, and he wasn't wrong. So while Rolex kept climbing the luxury ladder, his side mission was clear: make quality feel normal. And that, weirdly enough, turned out to be revolutionary. Before we move on, why not join the Opulent Oasis crew? Subscribe for fresh, cutting-edge updates. Let's get back to it. The affordable Rolex is born. In 1926, Hans Wilsdorf pulled off what most brands wouldn't dare. He took the secret sauce that made Rolex iconic and ladled it into a more approachable package called Tudor. It wasn't a compromise, it was a calculated expansion. Same philosophy, different price tag. Tudor came fitted with more affordable movements, but still carried the unmistakable Rolex attitude. Basically, if Rolex was the varsity quarterback, Tudor was the sharp younger cousin who still made varsity, just without the designer cleats. By the 1940s, Wilsdorf decided it was time to let Tudor flex even harder. He brought over the legendary Oyster case, Rolex's claim to waterproof fame, and slapped it onto Tudor models. Then came automatic winding in the 50s, turning Tudor into a quiet powerhouse with Rolex tech under the hood. At this point, Tudor was like borrowing your older sibling's car, but somehow driving it better. This strategy worked like a charm. More people got to experience the rugged charm of Rolex engineering without needing to crack open a trust fund. The features that made Rolex a heavyweight, water resistance, movement reliability, bulletproof build, started showing up in Tudors priced for real life. And back then, neither brand was swanning around like today's high society accessories. They were watches made to work, not just pose for champagne selfies. Tudor filled that sweet spot. Practical, accessible, and built with intent. Wilsdorf knew exactly what he was doing. Take proven innovation, wrap it in a leaner package, and send it into the world to do what great watches are supposed to do: run well, wear well, and stay out of the shop. Rolex and Tudor didn't just sell watches, they set the tone for what a real tool watch could be, no matter the price bracket. Tudor Submariner. The 1960s, Tudor Submariner was Hans Wilsdorf's quiet masterstroke, a watch that didn't need pedigree to pack a punch. It borrowed Rolex's best parts, cases, crowns, bracelets, but paired them with a more affordable movement. Same brawn, slightly different brain. Think of it as Rolex's blue-collar cousin, clocked in early, never asked for credit. Rolex and Tudor had a slick system. Tudor got the hand-me-downs, but the kind that aged like fine wine. Same oyster case, same rugged build, just a different engine ticking inside. It still looked the part, still felt solid, still held presence. Basically, it was the understudy who ended up stealing the show. Fast forward to 2025, and these vintage Tudors aren't hiding anymore. Retail, long gone. On the grey market, expect $6,500 to $9,000, depending on condition and dial setup. For what started out as the budget pick, it's now sitting comfortably in the respected collectible tier. The Tudor sub of the 60s isn't a footnote, it's the blueprint. It didn't chase Rolex, it just did the work, earned the miles, and let time do the talking. For collectors with an eye for substance over flash, this one still checks all the right boxes. The Rolex clone, not quite. Take a close look at the 1960s Tudor Submariner, and it's easy to do a double take. Rolex crown on the winding crown, check. Caseback stamped Rolex Oyster, yup. Bracelet and clasp signed Rolex too, absolutely. On paper, this thing screams Rolex louder than a Daytona on a podium. If it wore any more Rolex parts, it'd need a lawyer for identity theft. But the twist is inside. The movement isn't Rolex. It's a more mass-produced, no-frills engine. Still reliable, still solid, just not sipping champagne in Geneva. That's where Tudor did its magic, wrapped in Rolex skin, powered by something built to last without the fanfare. Think tuxedo on the outside, toolbox on the inside, vintage details. Then there's the dial, where the watch starts whispering sweet nothings to vintage nerds. The bezel, faded into that perfect ghosted grey, like it's been living in black and white film reels. Gilt printing on the dial, warm, golden, and aged like it's been collecting secrets since the Cold War. The Mercedes hands are there too, same shape as modern Rolex, but with decades of attitude baked in. This isn't fake patina, it's the horological version of laugh lines. Pointed crown guards add even more flavor, the kind Rolex collectors would gladly auction off a kidney for. But here's the twist. Tudor offers all that goodness for a fraction of the price. And with original examples getting harder to find in clean condition, it's not just a sleeper, it's a ghost pepper in a pile of bell peppers. It's the underdog watch that low-key shows up with a black belt. And don't sleep on that riveted bracelet. The side rivets aren't just for show, they add comfort, charm, and that vintage snap-on feel that modern bracelets can't fake. Paired with those polished case sides, the whole thing feels less like a clone and more like a sibling who figured out how to make hand-me-downs look better than new. The 1960s, Tudor Submariner might just be the best-kept secret in vintage collecting. It's got the looks, the legacy, and enough Rolex DNA to raise eyebrows without the Rolex price tag. It's like showing up to a black tie event in thrifted Tom Ford and somehow pulling it off better than everyone else. It also nails exactly why Tudor still holds weight today. No gimmicks, no flash, just solid design, smart decisions, and staying power. This isn't nostalgia for the sake of it. It's proof that good ideas age well when they're built right. Subscribe to Opulent Oasis, hit the like and notification bell, and keep that wrist game sharp. See you guys in the next luxury adventure.